fans, and welcome to another episode of Silver Screens. Tonight we are talking about MTV's Scream Season 2, Episode 6.
And what's great is we're filming this on the night when the season finale is airing.
We are real behind.
We're trying,
although we're getting caught up.
We're staying the hell off of Twitter.
And yeah, we're
not happening
social
tonight.
media blackout for a little while longer. But again, thank you to everyone for not spoiling us.
Yeah.
You guys have been so good. We had one fan saying that they wish we were on the AfterBuzz for this. So thank you. That's so incredibly sweet. We love hearing from you guys. You're the best. Anyway, we have so many feelings about what we just watched.
We had to stop the episode in the middle. Can we just talk about Noah? Let's start with that.
Yeah, let's talk about Noah.
Because that was what mostly screwed us up.
Yeah, again, wonderful dramatic irony with him. You know, Emma insisting that it couldn't possibly be Audrey. You're crazy unless you have something real to go on.
And he's reworked his murder board and put her smack in the middle.
As the prime suspect, which as well he should.
That gif.
Because
that gif.
Yeah, she's clearly not been honest about a lot of things.
Yeah.
And him not knowing that Ed is dead, but desperately wanting anything that will clear Audrey's name, because he doesn't want to believe it either.
Yeah.
Putting him in this creepy funhouse in the middle of night, having him go through the mirror maze and then go, no.
And we were watching it going, no, come on.
I'm screaming at him, I'm like, don't die a cliche. No.
And then just his realization, nope.
No.
It's the middle of the night. It's the middle of the night. And just the, no cell service. Like, oh my God.
Well, you can tell
better than this.
from the get-go, he knows he's in a cliche horror setting and with an actual killer on the loose. He knows this isn't a good thing, and it's not until he finally
gets about 3 feet into the Hall of Mirrors. And
nope. And it was brilliant.
I don't even remember half the stuff he said.
I feel like most of it was nope.
some flavor of nope, some variation of nope.
It
was wonderful. And then
as he's going back to the car, you were screaming, check the back seat!
You always, I do this in real life.
I do too.
Check the back seat. It's the middle of the night, kind of sit there and go, okay, there's no one in the trunk. Okay, there's no one in the back seat. Okay, there's no one in the passenger. All right, I'll get in. Because they'd have to be this big to be hiding in my car otherwise. Being attacked by gnomes.
I always check the back seat just as a force of habit. And whenever my mom, kind of rags on me for liking horror so much, I always just kind of think to myself, I'm like, well, it gets me looking in the back seat of my car.
And here's the thing. We're women. I don't think a lot of guys have that instinct. Just generally speaking, I really don't think that a lot of guys have that.
Well,
check the back seat, check the traps.
It's also a very well-known urban legend. And in fact, the writer...
Man door, hook hand, car door.
Yes, man door, hook hand, car door. But the guy who wrote, Kevin Williamson, who wrote,
Urban
3
legend.
out of 4 of the Scream movies, he wrote Urban Legend as well. And so it's nice that throughout the season we're getting a lot of callbacks to Scream proper, but at the same time it's not necessarily direct callbacks. They're kind of tangential callbacks.
Having the Randy get pulled into a car was not a good call.
Oh, we were like, no, not Randy.
Suddenly Ghostface from the back seat, which you didn't check. You dumb fuck.
Why does Audrey still have a costume if that's the case? And again, waking up in the funhouse in the car with a bag. He's like, oh god.
Tools just out of his reach.
And with Audrey there too. I totally had this pegged as he was putting it.
Torture porn.
Yeah, torture porn. I was thinking Until Dawn. There's a scene in Until Dawn where you have to choose between saving 2 different people. And it's a no-win scenario, basically. It's one of those things. No matter what, this one same person is going to get it. Because,
We're not thinking of the same movie.
No, I'm not talking about a movie. I'm talking about the video game Until Dawn. That came
out
okay.
I was thinking of the one with the vampires in Mexico. That's not Until Dawn.
That's oh gosh, that's the Robert Rodriguez movie.
Yeah.
Dusk Till Dawn. Dusk Till Dawn.
Which
is a great vampire movie. BT dubs.
I enjoyed it.
It was
I'm I'm surprised that I stuck around as long as I did.
Okay, just kind of total side
tangent time.
Total tangent. So sorry in advance. But yeah, I sat down to watch.
You're here for this. You came for this.
I sat down to watch From Dusk Till Dawn. It's late at night. Katie's getting ready to go to bed. She's like, "What you watching?" I'm like, "From Dusk Till Dawn." It's a vampire movie. You know, Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez.
And I was sitting there on my computer scrolling around with something, so I stayed.
Well, because she said she was going to go to bed soon, and usually that's, for me, I'm like, oh, okay, that means I can start watching a horror movie.
I'm going to be out until, like, midnight. Oh, okay, horror movie. And then I show up at 8 p.m. and you're in the middle of Candyman. Like, I'm just going to go to my room.
Again, another side tangent. I'm like this, watching Candyman, because Jesus Christ, that movie.
And I just walked in from, like, Disneyland.
And I'm like, hi. And I've got a pillow, and I'm like, hi.
What are you watching?
But to get back
from Dusk,
to get back to, that's a different story.
From Dusk Till Dawn.
From Dusk Till Dawn, Katie sat down and thought, I'll stay until the vampires show up.
And vampires showed up at like half an hour, 45 minutes into the freaking movie.
Almost an hour in,
Almost an hour into the movie, and by that point I was invested.
Yeah, because
I care.
Like prior to that, it's a really interesting hostage movie.
Because it's this family in this RV. It's what, dad and son and daughter?
Dad and and son and daughter, yeah.
And then these two bank robbers / murderers at this point. One of whom is not entirely all there.
And the other one who's not a good guy either, but like at the very least loves his brother.
Loves his brother and wasn't too keen on the murder thing. That was an accident.
At least his standards for murder. He'll kill other people in a pinch.
It's true. But it was just kind of like, okay, so this is interesting, and I'm intrigued, and and then by the time the vampire showed up, I was like, damn it, I care about everyone.
And that's when we get all of the wonder that is From Dusk Till Dawn.
And then it was just like, what did I just witness?
And then
I still don't know what I just witnessed, but boy do I feel bad for the survivors.
And you pointed it out, it's not very often that we get to see Eastern European vampires in anything.
Yes, these were extremely, they were not blah 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 vampires.
They were snake and bat and
dog.
Yeah, it was really good stuff. Anyway, that is not at all related to what we're talking about.
Good. Neither of us have seen the series, so we can't comment on it.
It's on my list. It's on my list.
Don't say anything. But if you haven't watched the movie and you like a good vampire flick, watch the movie.
Yeah,
it's on the very short list of horror movies that I've actually watched.
And enjoyed.
That and like Nightmare 2, I believe. Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
Why have you watched that one?
Because my brother was watching it and it was on and I was on the computer. Are you noticing a trend?
Freddy's Revenge? The one where he takes possession of the guy?
Oh, the one where they dug up his body and burned it.
That's the third one. I was going to say the second one is the one that has a lot of really overt homosexual undertones and overtones.
No, I just remember a lot of digging up his body and burning it. Like I've seen
that's the third one.
Maybe 40% of that movie.
Sorry. The third one's the best though. Okay, guys, we will do other horror movie reviews at another time. We are here to talk about the
You'll mostly do them with her.
But they're so good. Anyway, we just spent like 10 minutes talking about how good Dusk Till Dawn was and how emotionally compromised I was after Candyman. Anyway, to get back. So poor Noah thinks he's in a torture porn Eli Roth Saw movie.
How could you not in this situation?
Exactly. And he's like, I don't want to have to cut off a body part. No.
Just him yelling, please don't make me cut off a body part. Like... I felt better, and I shouldn't have, but I did.
Well, it was really nice to have that little bit of humor re-injected back into the episode, because the moment he was kidnapped, we were devastated.
We had to pause it, we went and got booze, it was a thing.
No, this is 100% because we thought Noah was gonna die. You
don't clink and then not drink.
Yeah, you have to
drink
if
you clink.
Yeah, that's a fact. That is a fact.
Frank and Sadie Doyle taught us well.
It is a faux pas if you put your glass down before taking a drink after you clink. That is a fact, guys. Look it up if you don't believe me. But anyway, so, and then it turns out that Audrey had been the one that kidnapped him, that the killer still lured him there because, surprise, surprise,
because
he had Ed's phone, and Ed's
Audrey
poor body is still in like a bathtub somewhere.
In a motel.
Oh, poor Ed.
And the
Poor
killer
Ed.
was still there.
Yeah, he was still there.
Boy,
which,
that was convenient.
okay, so there, again, wonderful stuff with Noah and Audrey. And before we get back to the killer, do you want to, he comes clean, and he basically says, I suspected you. I saw everything on your phone. Like, also when we
saw
kissed,
the GIF, I saw this, I saw that.
But also he feels like it's his fault that they're in this situation. It's 100% her fault. And he also comes clean about the night where they made out, because he's like, look, Lakewood sucked until I met you, and I know you're not into me. Like, I understand, I'm your friend, but when I kissed you, it felt right. And so that...
And she just starts going, no.
And to be fair, that makes his interactions with Zoe seem a lot better, in terms of, like, because Zoe can tell that, like, he did, because I kept thinking, like, oh, they're just friends. But Zoe could see that there was a connection that Noah was feeling that Audrey didn't necessarily reciprocate, but that it was one of those things where it just felt right at the time, and so he felt the need to tell her. And I like that he didn't make a big deal about getting dejected. Like, because he's like, I get it. You're not into me. That's totally fine, but this is how I felt. And it's important that I tell you before we get murdered.
And also her saying, I love you, but not like that. Like, friendship is a form of love. It's legitimate.
It is. And
it
again...
doesn't always have to end with tab A and slot B.
Well, and again, the huge thing here was the reparation of their friendship after trust had been compromised. And even when we get to the end of this episode and she finally comes clean with him with, I'm the one that brought Piper to Lakewood, that doesn't necessarily mean that everything's fixed, because for one, there's that recording still floating around, and two, she might not have told him the full story, and probably didn't tell him the full story.
It might be entirely a lie.
It might be. And also has sworn him to secrecy about said, whether it's true or not. I want to believe
I need
her.
to come clean myself.
I want to believe her, but she hasn't earned her trust back yet. There's clearly something still, there's clearly something still there. She knows more than she's letting on, and there's more that she hasn't told everybody.
And I can also see Piper's actual accomplice being the one, like, pulling the strings for her and saying, hey, we're partners, I know what you did, and her feeling bad because she was the one who started this ball rolling. She couldn't have known.
No.
Like, if what she said was true, if
even part of it is true.
Yeah, if we're approaching this from, she's just told the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help her God, or at least something close to that, she could not have known. And it's partially survivor's guilt, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
I put Lakewood on the map for her. I invited her back. I asked her to help me with the documentary that I was doing on Brandon James. Like, I put Lakewood in her target. I put it in her sights. And then I believed her when she said that she was not responsible for the murders. Like, I started this ball rolling.
And I believed her lies. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. And there's no way she could have known. And you want to trust someone like that because she was reaching out to Piper because she was lonely.
Yeah, she is responsible for bringing the biggest tragedy that their town has known since Brandon James onto not only to the town, but upon her friends. Literally every friend that she has that's died, she probably views it as her fault. If this is indeed the truth.
It might not be. It might have started as I brought you. It might have been the first part of the truth. Like, I brought her here. I invited her here. I don't know what Piper would have had to have said to convince her to jump on the murder spree if that had not been her initial intent. Like, if she's not the accomplice, then I'm curious as to how, if she is the accomplice, I'm curious as to how that went down, if Piper would have recruited her, if it would have been her plan
how
all
much
along, and Piper
manipulation
going,
would have been required. Or other way around, maybe Audrey was the one manipulating Piper, saying,
which for me
you
is
should
much
take
harder
revenge, which doesn't, I obviously.
Because who would have known?
Exactly.
Who would have known about, you're my half-sister.
Exactly.
I'm, it's partially because I really like Audrey, not gonna lie.
Yeah, of course we love Audrey, but it's so weird.
She was drawn into this, and that she was innocent in this, but still felt extremely guilty because I'm the one that brought her here. Well, you're to blame. You started this.
I think there's definitely merit in that theory. I still think she's guilty of something she hasn't told us yet. I don't think...
yeah, moving evidence, hiding bodies.
Yeah, like to go to the extreme... And granted, she might have just, it might have just been a slippery slope where eventually it just gets to the point where she's in over her head and, it's gotten, everything has gotten away from her. But the lengths that she's gone to before coming clean, quote unquote, before coming clean... I don't know. I'm still a little too suspicious.
I mean, she nearly brained him with a bookend at one point.
Yeah,
that's a little extreme.
And again, if what she's saying is true, why would murder Noah now be her immediate knee-jerk response?
Panic.
She's guilty of something. She's guilty of something, and panic. But murder Noah now should have never been a panic response for what she is admitting to.
But this is Lakewood. Everyone's stupid.
And again, teenagers. Kids and just, corrupt cops and just ineffectual adults in general. But I still think she's...
The last little bit is that Noah was doing a sound test for the podcast and left it recording. Like, she walked in and said, I have something to tell you, and I'm like, he's still recording.
Well,
he is still recording.
He's probably sick of being manipulated and
lied
lied to. He didn't know what she was going to say, but he wanted to make sure that if it was incriminating, if his prime suspect was guilty of something, he had it on record.
Especially since he gave her phone back.
Exactly. And again, he doesn't... She kidnapped him. She chloroformed him and tied him to a cart in a creepy funhouse of death.
And then acted like she'd also been kidnapped. And I love that. Oh, Emma's here. Oh, shoot.
Yeah, again, it was a one...
Actually, I kidnapped you, and I saw you here, we had the conversation, but the killer might actually be here now because she's here, and we could actually be fucked, so I'm going to get you out of here.
She was smart enough to put two and two together that because he's a terrible liar, that he planted her phone back in her bag, and she knew that he was suspecting her, and so those are the steps that she took to make sure that
both kidnapped, it'll throw you off the case.
Yeah, and again, it was a great misdirect from a narrative standpoint because I thought this was the killer setting up Emma to, make a Sophie's Choice of sorts, and that Noah would have ended up dead, and then Audrey would have been even more guilty, would have felt even more guilty. But no, the whole thing had been a thing set up by Audrey to make herself look innocent, and
she just happened to be at the carnival? Question mark.
Still not sure how that probably following Noah, which is what she said. What ended up happening. But the fact of the matter is that she did that. If one of my friends did that to me for any reason,
friendship over.
Oh my god! So even though he's saying it's not your fault and he's comforting her, he's probably just as suspicious. Her name's not going off that board anytime soon. And frankly, she deserves that. She did a horrible thing to him, regardless of the reasons. She until she comes fully clean, she stays on that board as far as I'm concerned. Or until he finds some hard, concrete evidence to either, incriminate her or clear her of any and all further charges.
So we'll have to see.
To get back to the killers. So let's talk about the killer's plan here. So again, we kind of figured that he lured Noah there to murder him to death. And then, Emma shows up, and I'm sure he would have done a little run around and chase thing. But Audrey being there clearly put a damper in his or her plans. And it's like, because we just see the killer just kind of look at him and stand there. And it's like, what were
But
they...
now I'm going to chase Emma. But now I'm going to disappear, and it's going to be Kieran coming around the corner like...
Now, here's the question. Was the plan to kill Noah and then Audrey being there put a kink in that plan? Or was the plan to always get them all in one place and then just Emma and Kieran showing up through another kink in that? What was the killer's plan? Was the killer's plan just to attack Noah, to single him out and attack him? Or was it
was the plan.
Or was it just a little, and everybody else showing up puts a dink in that, so you just kind of I guess I'm just here.
I'm pretty sure that just Noah on his own was the plan, and then it's like, oh, that's Audrey, and I don't want to kill her yet because I'm still toying with her, and that's an Emma, and she's endgame, and then there's this guy. I'm done. I'm gonna go murder a guy handcuffed in a hotel room.
Well, I think that actually might be tied to the killer not doing anything at the funhouse, because they might have been dividing and conquering at this point.
How did the killer know about him? Who else knew he was there except Brooke?
Gustavo. Not necessarily actually, because he asked how did it go with Lang. He didn't know that she, or at least kind of seemingly didn't know that she went to meet Branston at this hotel.
But at their usual spot. Who knew it was their usual spot?
I mean, well, the
previous
previous accomplice, because
there was the choice between...
Because again, another Sophie's Choice scenario, between Riley and Brooke. And again, at the time, we were like, why'd you choose Brooke? But yeah, now,
so someone knew.
So yeah, previous accomplice definitely knew. So very interesting, very intriguing. But again, I think that might be one of the reasons why the killer didn't do anything at the funhouse, is because they were acting on their own while the other one was observing / making their way or at the hotel.
Yeah.
It's one of those scenarios where they probably weren't expecting to be outnumbered in the way that they were, so they're like, I'm just gonna stand here and look creepy.
This could end poorly for me.
Yep.
Let's not.
Right?
The cat's over there being like,
Yep, it's gonna end very poorly. Which, speaking of, should we talk about Brooke? Because,
oh my God, Brooke.
Damn, girl.
Brooke is stick a fork in Brooke. She is done.
She's so over being
done
in this show.
And she goes to Gustavo and says, look, can you be sticky fingers in your dad's office? Wow, she has a lot to say. And he does, and he looks through the file, and it turns out that Branson
has a solid alibi.
Branson. Names, I am so bad at them, and his alibi is Lang, the psychology teacher who likes recording shit.
Which, I was like, that's a match made in hell if I've heard one, right?
And evidently they're dating. And so she plays both ends against the middle, calls out Mrs. Lang and says, I'm so sorry, I feel so bad, I was hoping you could help me with this. I was with Branson on Sunday night. And just the look on her face, it's like, that alibi is wrong, because obviously we see Lang's reaction and she kind of goes into her car and pulls up in her phone and goes, we need to talk.
So clearly,
at the same time,
the alibi is BS, yeah.
At the same time that Brooke is on the phone with him, just doing this grieving but still sexy thing. Like, I don't want to feel this pain anymore. Like, help me escape like we used to. Yes, I'm sure, our usual place. And she's doing this whole,
again, like a fiddle, woven like a quilt. It was really interesting, because you know that she was a catty girl before all this started. She was the type of girl that liked to play those games. And even when she was with Jake, they liked to play games with each other. But damn,
it's a skill set.
Cross her in the way that she has been crossed. Ho, she will destroy you.
Because I feel like she's one of those things where a lot of stuff is just beneath her. It's like, whatever, I'm not going to deal with that, I'm not going to mess with that, whatever, I'm better than that. And then when she runs out of fucks, you're done.
Yeah.
Because that's the point where she's like, I'm done. I'm gonna kick ass and take names and destroy everyone.
A lot of stuff being beneath her, she has something to care about now. They took something that she cares about away. And even if, like, you want to say that it was just, you know, teenage romance or whatever, the fact of the matter is, that kid, as bad as he was, did not deserve to die that way.
And they were both survivors of a horrifying attack.
Yeah.
Like,
that terrible, awful thing.
Yeah, and he didn't deserve to die, and he didn't deserve to die like that. It was a horrible, horrible way to go, and, you know, he literally got dropped on her on a stage. So, problems. So she's talking with Gustavo. Promise me something. I know, don't get involved. No, destroy them.
Get super involved, which, again, probably not best to be taking advice from Gustavo, the guy taking selfies of himself in a Brandon James mask. He really needs to work on his self-insert fanfic stuff.
She's knocking stuff off.
But
and that is why you keep a case on your iPad.
But yeah, but it was really nice to actually see anybody, actually give, you know, a little bit of faith in a main character, because everybody else is, oh, if you had come to the police earlier, maybe your dad would still be alive. Or and granted, this was good parenting on Emma's mom's part of, we still don't know what happened to Jake, you're not leaving this house.
Which makes sense, because Emma has been, you know, the final girl, and
Which makes sense to an extent, with the exception of you're still leaving her at home, and also you're just telling her to stay on lockdown instead of actively asking, you know, instead of actively trying to solve this with her.
Emma snuck out.
No, she did. She did. But, like...
And then ran over a nail and got Kieran to fix it, and then continued to sneak out.
Which, like, wouldn't that so be... Like, I feel like I was very, like, a by-the-book kid when I was a teenager. I feel like that is exactly what would happen if I tried to sneak out. I would have run over a nail, like, literally 3 feet away from my house. I would have been like, God damn it, you son of a gun diddly-un.
See? I never would have made it out the door. My mom is such a light sleeper, and we had a step. It was the 4th step down that creaked, and both of the steps around it creaked as well. Not as badly, but nonetheless.
And you can't exactly make a quiet jump either.
There was virtually, and even then, you open the front door, that's it. You open the garage door, you can hear it in the whole house. That's it. Like, she's such a light sleeper. Everyone's like, yeah, we snuck out and did this, or we said we were sleeping over at each other's houses, but we really snuck out. Like, that bit of Animorphs never made any sense to me. Like, really? And your parents bought it? Yeah, okay.
She's like, maybe they are all aliens, because they are clearly not engaged in your lives right now.
California parenting? I don't know.
No, I've lived in California my entire life.
I was thinking like LA or San Francisco or something, because they were obviously a larger city.
Lakewood parenting, because Lakewood is a special little bubble of nonsense.
Well, we had 2 main characters straight up say, look, Lakewood was hell on wheels before I met you.
Yeah.
So obviously
Lakewood's
this is
just
one
like
of those
little shitty town.
Awful
place.
Stereotypical to a literary sense. Small town.
Yeah.
Like, it's stuff, there's no way stuff like this exists in real life. This is way too much of it. I'm sure it does in some places. You know, there's a small town where you're completely different from everyone else because there's only 500 people there.
Speaking of small town nonsense, what is with Kieran's aunt, Eli's mom, hitting on the mayor, and then him having I can smell desperation a mile away. I want you to do something for me. What?
Picking up whatever job he wanted Jake to do.
And again,
that Jake obviously failed to do on account of his own death.
And you could definitely see the mayor fishing for it with the sheriff, and the sheriff lying about having access, you know, being able to open Jake's phone.
It's encrypted.
Yep. Which, again, go watch the John Oliver segment on encryption and you'll see why encryption is important. But, like, oh my gosh, like, so, yeah, you can't blame Emma for, like, distrusting the cops right now because, again, the cops have completely dismissed every legitimate claim that she has.
Oh, they gaslighted her. It was bad.
Yeah, it's really bad. So the killer and or killers in this particular season are being really good about the dance puppets dance thing. Because
you didn't tell anyone about our little rendezvous. Yeah, fuck off. Well, you can't trust yourself either, and I know it. Like,
which again, what like is it? It's one of those things where it's like, wow, are you like playing right into their hands by taking the steps that you're taking, or are you actively subverting them by not going to the authorities? Because I have to say, in real life, go to the cops and everything like that. But with the scenario that they've set up, you absolutely cannot blame her for not going to the cops.
the cops are terrible.
They are. They're terrible in this town.
And just you can give me an in or I can arrest you. Like, okay. I know cutting deals happens, but usually those are illegal and on the up and up.
Well, and again, just constantly twisting the dead dad knife. And so
I saw you looking at those plaques. I know you were thinking it. Like, yeah, but there's some things you just don't say.
Like, really?
That's
want this kid
Disney
on your side and you're twisting the dead dad knife? Wow.
That is Disney villain territory. If it weren't for you, they'd still be alive.
Run, Kieran, run away and never return. But yeah, also, like, there's a lot of lying between friends going on in this episode, you know. Emma lies to Kieran.
I didn't lie, I changed my mind. No, you fucking lied.
Emma lies to Kieran because they have underlying trust issues going on right now. Kieran, at the end of the episode, he's talking to the sheriff, but there's something I have to tell you about Emma. You know, clearly violating their trust in a completely different way. Audrey's probably lying to Noah. Noah's probably lying to Audrey in terms of like
Noah
letting bygones be bygones.
Noah recorded Audrey without her knowledge or consent.
And I imagine that, you know, Branson clearly lied to Lang. Lang's clearly lied to everybody to cover for Branson.
Brooke did a lot of lying, but it was kind of amazing.
Did a lot of lying, and it'll be interesting to see if, after what happened to Mr. Branston, if she comes clean about what she did to him, because she put him in a position to be attacked. Because he's not dead, and we were making a lot of jokes.
Didn't want him dead. She definitely made moves like she was going to and scared the blue and white hell out of him, but she didn't do
more than anything. She wanted the truth about whether or not he was involved with Jake's death, and apparently Jake had $10,000 ready to bribe Branson to get out of town to stop bothering her.
And an arrangement with Brooke's dad.
Formed an arrangement with Brooke's dad. And so that seemed... But again, we still don't know what that arrangement was.
Yeah.
And
only that he was going to do a job, and it obviously didn't go through.
And it didn't get done.
Because he died.
And again, was Jake targeted specifically because he was a survivor of the Lakewood Six, or was he targeted specifically because of said deal? And like we're making the assumption that the killer and or killers are only after Emma and the Lakewood Six right now. That might be a misconception. They might be after a lot of authority figures in Lakewood as well. Because guess what, guys? These assholes went to high school with Brandon James and were responsible for either driving him to murder or framed him for murder. One of the two.
Good times and great oldies.
Yeah, so good friends. Good friends.
We have, God, Brooke just basically handcuffing him to the headboard, blindfolding him, and then pulling up the blindfold, and she's got a pair of scissors.
Yep.
Cuts his cheek open.
Ooh.
Threatens to kill him. Threatens to cut his dick off. And finally just kind of goes, look, I wanted the truth, I wanted this, you are going to leave.
I believe you now.
I never want to see you again. Have fun, and leaves him blindfolded, gagged, handcuffed.
Which has a little bit of dramatic irony because that's the way she was left when the killer manipulated her in the previous season. And then again, we get the killer coming in and cutting...
She never found out the previous season that it was the killer manipulating her to be there. She still thinks that he left her there to hang.
Yeah, probably. I don't know though. After Riley died, you know, that might have brought some clarity to that particular evening. But yeah, I mean, she in either case, because she was having an affair with him, she was there tied up all night, even if he wasn't directly responsible for her being stuck there.
Yeah.
But
Ghostface shows up, cuts his hand off to get him out of the handcuffs, which there are other ways to do that.
there are
but
so
okay.
many other ways to do that.
Turns the iron on and uses it to cauterize.
Steam.
And what I could not get over was you could see the steam billowing out. And I'm like, you have to actually hit a steam button to make that happen.
Oops, my finger slipped.
Like, that thing has to be filled with water.
slipped.
And if you do the steam at the same time you're trying to cauterize, that doesn't help matters. You don't want to put water
I'm
on
cleaning it. I'm cleaning the wound as I'm cauterizing it.
Basically, it looked great for about a fraction of a second, and then it was like, you just steamed an open wound. What is the point?
I mean, this could be a teenager. They don't know what they're
I
doing.
don't know what they're doing.
This is how you use an iron, right?
Shitty hotel iron.
It could just be a shitty hotel iron.
But it
yeah.
was really funny that there was steam for that. Like,
But why keep Branson alive? Why,
what does he have to offer?
What value does he serve having only one hand and still being alive? You could kill him and stash his body and keep, the idea of him around as an omnipresent threat. Why cut off his hand and then keep him alive when you clearly have the tools to just simply free him and kidnap him? What purpose does he serve in your grand scheme of things?
Another Ghostface? Information? Bait.
I was gonna say, I don't think another Ghostface, because these are important when you're a Ghostface.
I mean,
These are important.
he doesn't really have much left, but he'll be alright.
They could turn him into the killer with a hook for a hand.
You just didn't even.
They could turn him into the killer with a hook for a hand.
We're just screw it into the bone. We're good.
I mean, we did that urban legend this evening. Why not?
Car door, hook hand, man door.
Car door, hook hand, man door. Yes. So again, a lot of questions that we have going into the next episode. Do you have any final thoughts? Because this was such an emotionally
so freaking
engaging
good.
episode. It was great.
This is halfway through the season. Is it a 12 or a 14?
I want to say it's a 12 episode.
So this was halfway through the season. That's a really good halfway through the season.
Yeah, no,
Dang,
and
guys.
now that we're on a little bit more of a consistent viewing schedule, I'm really excited to finish getting caught up.
Oh yeah.
If we weren't doing these vlogs, I would just fucking binge it because it's very entertaining and it's very engaging.
But we're here to talk about it because it's fun.
It is. It's so much fun.
Oh my gosh.
Half the fun of watching the show is getting to talk to it with you guys. I only wish we got to do it in real time, honestly. So definitely next year if we get a season 3.
Maybe we should stream these on Twitch next year.
Maybe we should just be less busy, not move. Or
Let's
go to
be less busy in July.
I know that.
July.
I realized how dumb it sounded the second it left my mouth. But yeah, any other
It's
final...
not less busy, it's just less busy in July.
Any other final thoughts? Because this was an emotional roller coaster.
This
It
was
great.
a glorious episode and I adored it.
I do too. I hope
Even
the
as
rest,
it hurt me.
I hope the rest of the season is as good as this because this was fantastic.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, Katie, where can people go if they want to keep up with you?
You can find me on Twitter and YouTube at Kiaxet. That's Kiaxet. YouTube is mostly reaction videos, so if you want to see us watch stuff and react to it and hear laughter and potential screaming, that's the place to go.
Tears. And you want to just see me go like this, watching what was supposed to be sugar.
Tears happened.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yep, it's
fine.
thing.
And I'm Megan. You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at TheMenguin. That's TheMenguin. Be sure to follow Silver Screams at Silver_Screams on Twitter and Instagram. Like us on Facebook. All that fun stuff. We want to know your thoughts on the episode without
Best
spoilers.
horror movie fake out.
Ooh, that's a good
Best
one.
horror movie fake out.
I
Because you
like
know
that.
you have the baseline where you think it's going to be a jump scare and then it's just the cat.
Cat.
Or something like that.
Or like you think
I lift up the cat to show you, but she doesn't like being held and she'd kill me.
Or when somebody bends over, you know, to wash their face in the sink, and they come up, and you think,
And there's
it's
nothing
gonna be
in the mirror.
it's gonna be something in the mirror, and then there's nothing in the mirror. You're like,
Look up the Paul F. Tompkins comedy routine about horror movies, because he talks about that sort of thing. And it's
the
beautiful.
phrase "excuse me" would have to be used. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. But yes, we want to know best horror movie fake out. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you all next time.